Good morning and welcome. We are continuing our daily video devotions to the book of 1 Samuel with 1 Samuel chapter 25. And I've got to be honest with you, as I read through 1 Samuel 25 over the last few days, and as I've thought about it, it just strikes me as a little bit of an odd chapter. And it's an odd chapter because it's essentially about this encounter between David and this very wealthy man named Nabal. And essentially David asked Nabal for some assistance, for some things that would help David and his men as they continue to kind of stay away from King Saul. And apparently there's some history between David and his men and Nabal's servants. Apparently David's men had been good to Nabal's servants at some point down the line. And David thinks that because that he and his men were so good to Nabal's servants, that Nabal would be more than happy to assist him by giving him certain things. But what we discover is that Nabal is not a very good man. And he's not a very good man because when David comes to him and asks him for some help, Nabal kind of rebuffs David. He refuses to help him. And as we read, this strikes David wrong. David doesn't appreciate what Nabal does. It actually makes him kind of angry at Nabal, and he has an opportunity to go and seek revenge. But as we read, what's interesting is David doesn't seek revenge against Nabal. Instead, he trusts that God will be faithful to him, and that if something was to come and to come against Nabal and to go against him, it would be God who would seek after revenge on David's behalf. And as we read, that's exactly what happens when Nabal wasn't generous to David, when he didn't share with David and his men. God judged Nabal, and not long after that, Nabal died. And see, where the story really gets odd is that Nabal's wife, Abigail, has this encounter with David, and they seem to strike it off. So after Nabal dies, David sends for Abigail, and Abigail becomes David's wife. Like I said, it's a little bit of a different kind of story in my opinion. But anyway, I think there is a lesson for us in this, and it's not terribly different from the lesson we talked about in 1 Samuel 24. It's that oftentimes in life, people don't treat us well. They don't treat us kindly. They don't show us grace, or they don't help us during our times of need. And when they do those things, it hurts us. It upsets us. It makes us angry or upset. We feel like we've been wronged. And in those moments, we have a choice about how we'll respond. Will we seek after revenge on our own? Will we try to hurt those who have hurt us? Will we seek to do the same kinds of things they did to us that caused us that hurt? Or will we be like David, and instead of seeking after revenge, instead of trying to hurt those people in return, we'll decide to leave revenge up to God, and instead we'll be merciful, we'll be forgiving, we'll show grace, we'll forgive others even when they don't deserve it. So think about that over the next few weeks. The next time somebody does something that hurts you, something that offends you, something that upsets you, maybe even that upsets you deeply, think about forgiving them. Think about extending grace and mercy to them, even though they might not deserve it. And then think about what God might be able to accomplish through you if you're willing to do that. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we'll see you next Tuesday for 1 Samuel chapter 26.